Hello, welcome back to the Freedom Network. My name is Troy Colmer, and we are building the most powerful 21-day mind enhancement program on the planet. And this is for you to become self-empowered and limitless. So our mission is to empower 1 million people in 2023. It's a huge ask because we don't have long. And if you can help us do that, we would love it very much. I've got my good mate here, Craig Harris. He's my co-host and all-round good bloke. How you going today, Craig?
Good, thanks, mate.
Oh, that's good to see, buddy.
That was a nice intro.
I'm trying to work on it.
Yeah, you're improving every time we get here. You can see you're fitting into the seat better every time.
Oh, great, mate. That's such a positive thing that come from you.
There you go. Good feedback.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback. Now, I hear that we've had some questions.
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions come in this week, but the familiar theme is what's the control and what's the FEB they're asking?
Oh, the FEB. Well, we can't start. I can't reveal it yet because there is a reason. The reason is that we need to know all the parts before we get to the FEB because FEB are the very top.
Right.
So they control all the rest of the parts. But it's if I just come out and said it, no one believed me. So
right. So we've got to build up.
We've got to build up to it.
We've got to educate a bit.
We've got to do a bit of learning.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And because everything's militarized. Yeah. Everything. They don't do anything. There's nothing that's not planned. Like every single thing they do is planned. And so I'll give you a perfect example. I've always got examples, haven't I?
Always.
So a perfect example, right, is the alphabet community and how that's a militarized operation and how they've hijacked the rainbow. And so the reason that they use the rainbow is because you have to remember that we are programmable, and means the world's programmable, and that means everything's programmable. And so when you see the rainbow, because we say every time it sprinkles like a bit of a mist, and because what the rainbow actually is it's just showing you the energy field that we live in, because we live in a sea of energy. And so you can get a hose on a sunny day and on a really fine mist and just spray it in the air.
Yeah.
And you'll see a rainbow.
Yeah.
And so the idea is as a trigger, so every time you see a rainbow, you think of the alphabet community.
That's what they want.
Well, you can't help it.
Right. Oh, because the way it's been programmed.
Because it's a program now.
Right.
It's a program now.
Yeah, that's their identifier that they've taken hostage.
Yeah.
Virtually.
Yeah. And so that's how they do it. And the same, this is a little bit off topic from what we're meant to be doing, but the same thing happened in COVID, right, with the masks. So if you remember at the very start of COVID, nobody knew nobody that had COVID. Nobody knew no one. And we were meant to be dropping like flies, and from what they told us, it was meant to be really deadly.
Yeah.
And so what would have happened if they tried to keep the narrative going that it was deadly? Everyone would have woken up and said, no, this is not. Yeah, hang on a minute, this is a furphy.
Yeah.
So what they did, they introduced masks. So masks do the same thing. And so that every time you look at someone with a mask on, it's a trigger for you to remember how deadly this virus is.
Right. And then could they have used the mask as a disguise to say that the mask was stopping how bad it could be?
No, it's a trigger.
Right.
It's a trigger. So every time you see, and then that means everybody's wearing it all the time. So then in your mind, you could create fear.
Oh, it keeps the hysteria
going. It keeps the hysteria going because it's so dangerous.
Right.
Even though the masks, even though the masks they do zero to stop a virus. Like to stop a virus, you need to have a full sealed, like an air sealed. Yeah. An air-sealed mask, the full...
Like a hazmat suit.
Like a hazmat suit, yeah. That's the only thing that can stop you from getting a virus, because the particle is so small that can't go through it'll just go straight through the mask like
Yeah.
nothing. And
Like you see people in the movies wearing when you're watching a movie like Contagion or something like that.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about movies later too. And so, so to answer that question is, no, I'm not telling you.
You bet you will eventually.
Yes, we're going to work into it, but it's a few podcasts down the road because we need to build up to it.
Right.
Yeah, we need to build up to it.
It's just that I think the question popped up because we were referring to it.
Yeah, we refer
lot.
to the FEB a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which is the question was asked.
Yeah.
It came in a few times. The same question.
Yeah.
I suppose because it was a bit of consistency.
What they'll need to do is keep watching,
True to reveal.
watching and listening.
Yeah, there you go. In anticipation.
We will reveal.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got the I haven't got my banner up there. This is how much we are in control.
You got your holiday snaps up there now.
Oh, mate. I hope there's nothing bad. That won't be good, eh? Imagine that. Wouldn't that be embarrassing?
It would be.
If you had some. If you had what's it called? Not what's Biden's son?
Hunter.
Hunter.
Oh, Hunter's laptop.
The Hunter's laptop. Nothing to see, bird. Look, bird.
Just for up a distraction. That'd be all right.
Proper distraction.
Yeah.
So we get off topic very easy. Was there any other questions, or that was?
No, that was the pretty common question that did pop up.
Everybody wants to know who the FEB is.
Yeah.
Well, we will reveal it in time, but people are going to be very surprised at actually how they actually do control the world.
Right.
It's actually quite simple, but there's a lot of parts. But anyway, that's not for today's. Podcast. So today. We're already a few minutes in and we haven't even started. Today's podcast is actually How to Manifest Part 4. We thought that we had it nailed in 3 parts, but we've left out a fair few things before we got there. So that's what today is. And so we're going to be talking about my emblem, especially that's what all those photos were if you're watching us on YouTube. That's what all those photos were that I didn't have set up properly anyway. And
technology always catches you
out. Technology.
Yeah.
And also what we spoke about it before, that everything's right in front of you. And so we're going to be talking about things about the movies, like Craig just said about Contagion, but there's 3 movies, kids movies in particular, that we're going to talk about today, that telling you, because the reason is that it's in all the movies is because when you talk about it to somebody, they'll say, "Oh, you've been watching too many movies," and that's how they can disguise all this stuff.
Because they can say, "Oh, you're just fantasizing," because they refer to the movies as a fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just deadens the conversation about it.
Yeah.
Kills the evidence.
It kills the whole thing.
Yeah, because it's just in the movies.
Because it's just in the movies. Yeah.
Right. So that the movies aren't set up to give us a tip or a...
Well, yeah, and I thought about that too. They could be. It could be both sides to. I don't know. All I know is that every single thing is in the movies. Go back to the 2018. I think there was a series on Netflix all about the virus that got released.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't think of what the series was called, but it's nearly to a T that the exact what happened in 2020.
Wow.
And then there's also 007. There's a 007 movie too where he's in this island. I don't know which one it is, He's in the island and they've got the virus that they're releasing, the exact same thing that happened in 2020, and they release it, but as soon as you touch somebody, you had to touch the person, and then you get it and you die.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I suppose that was similar to that movie, The Kingsman, as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's all in the movies.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that every single thing is right in front of us for all of this stuff. For everything is right in front of us. That's why we don't see it, is because they don't want us to see it.
Right. Well, they probably know that we're too lazy to go and look for it. The evidence, but the evidence is all provided, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right. It's right there. And today we're going to run through the evidence for my emblem here up on the screen here. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, you can just go to any of our platforms, and it's everywhere. My emblem is on everything.
Right.
And because it's the same, I'm using their tactics, the same thing. So when you see the Freedom Network emblem, so what do we stand for? Strength, honour and integrity. And our mission is to help people become self-empowered and limitless. So that's the emblem. So if someone sees the emblem, that's
a trigger.
That's the trigger for someone to go, okay,
right,
this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, they're my values, and then that's my mission or my purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of it anyway. So it's a trigger to, but it is the actual. We're going to explain it soon. But it is the actual program to the whole world, the whole universe. And that sounds pretty hectic, doesn't it? You see, I've got to trigger myself.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, is because, like, I want you to become self-empowered and limitless. Like, yes, I'd love for you to come and join the Freedom Network and fast track your momentum and fast track your journey, but you absolutely do not have to. You absolutely do not have to. I want to give you every single bit of information that you need you can do your own journey as well. So you can take your own time. It won't be 8 years. My thing is now is by the end of this year, I'm hoping that everybody that wants to be on this journey will be self-empowered and limitless, whether they join.
So you're going to provide the tools for everybody to get there fast track.
Well, I can't do every single tool. I can't do the mind stuff with the beliefs and all that stuff, because it's like we have to do that on a step-by-step process. Like, we can't do it like someone like today, right? This is episode 4. So someone might come in and just watch episode 4, but you really need to watch episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Like, you need to start at the start.
Yeah.
But if someone comes in now and just goes, "Oh, I'll just come and check out these guys," and watches it and listens to this episode or watches it, you're coming in halfway through the conversation.
Yeah.
And so when I teach people how to reprogram and enhance their mind to become like infinitely better, we can't come in halfway through.
Yeah.
Like, it has to start at the front. Like, it has to. It can't not.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah. So everything has to start with the seed, remember?
Yeah.
So, well, even before the seed. So even before the seed, we've got to start with the garden bed. So we've got to get the garden bed right. First, we've got to get the garden bed. We've got to clear out all the weeds, make sure the garden bed's perfect, because we want to see the environment's perfect for the seed.
Yeah.
Then we create the seed. Then we've got to plant the seed,
yeah,
which is the action side of it.
Yeah.
And then we've just got to let it grow.
Yeah.
But then we do, watering and make sure there's animals aren't going to eat our little plant coming up and all that sort of stuff. Because there's always
got the best chance.
Yeah. But there's always, and then we don't really know when the seed's going to sprout, do we?
No.
We know it's going to sprout at some stage.
Depends on how you go through the process.
And all seeds sprout differently. And if you look at the seed, we'll do this on another thing, but I can't think, it's like a time lapse. You can go to YouTube and there's a time lapse camera and they plant, I think it's a mung bean or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go there and watch that, what you see is they plant the seed, right? But then the seed sends roots down into the ground, and then there's a whole lot of roots go out first, and then the plant starts to show itself.
Right.
And so we are exactly the same. Like, we've got to do all the work first.
Yeah. And then you've got to go out and seek the nutrients and...
Yeah. So you've got to go out and do all the work first, and then it starts to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's like a hockey stick, the curve. So you're going along and you think, oh, this is a journey. You're going along, and then all of a sudden, life just starts to hockey stick up, starts to go like vertical nearly.
Right. So that's when you're in the flow, you're in the zone.
And and that's when things really start to go well.
But that depends on the work that you put in at the beginning.
Yeah. So the more work you put in, the better it's going to be.
Yeah. It's like anything, isn't it?
It is like anything. All right. So what we're going to do, my emblem, right? First, I'd like to tell you how I come across it. I'll tell you all the pieces in a minute, but what happened was in 2017, I had all these parts. So I knew all the parts already. I knew what they all did, but I didn't know how it worked. And I didn't even understand it how it all worked. Because remember I was saying that everything is a circle. And if you're missing one part of the circle, then you just got a line. Any part.
Yeah.
So you cut it with the scissors.
Yeah.
That's just that one little tiny bit.
Yeah.
And then there's no circle.
Yeah.
It's just a line.
Yeah. So you haven't got any flow.
Yeah. And so this is why this is why you think that it doesn't work. Like this is why people think that things don't work. It's because they're missing a part of the circle.
Right.
Yeah. So you need all the circle. And anyway, in 2017, it was late. I think it was late 2017. We're in Bali, and I was sitting on the motorbike in traffic. I've been there for 5 days, and if you're on a motorbike in Bali, you always get booked because that's how they get revenue. Because it's Indonesia's like
as a tourist.
Yeah. Like corruption's just rife.
Right.
That's how they make their money.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, why haven't I been booked? Like, anyway. And so what happened was, and this day I didn't have anywhere to be. I was just traveling around the island to see, I was just by myself. I wasn't in Bali by myself, but on this day I was just, doing some sightseeing.
Yeah.
And so thought I'll just go anywhere. I'll go to all these places I haven't been. And then I ended up getting over so I went down, a whole heap of spots, but then I was in Kuta, and then I went over to the other side to, what's the surf spot over there?
Were you on the volcano side? Keramis?
No, yeah, Keramis. Yeah. And so I got to go over there just before I got there. Anyway, I'm sitting at the lights, right? And there was heaps of people there, heaps of people on bikes. And I was thinking, I wonder how fast his bike was. It was a big long straight.
So this is like later in the day.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So this is like 2 hours.
After you'd put that thought of not being booked.
Yeah. This is about 2.5 hours later. So I'd stopped a few times and I'd gone around, I'd done a few things and I wanted to see what the surf was doing over there. And I'm sitting at the lights and I'm thinking, God, I wonder how fast this bike would go. Anyway, so I take off at the lights and I'm ringing it. And it's foul bouncing and I got up to about, 95 or something. It was everything. And next thing, this police officer jumps out behind the tree, goes, stop! And then pulls me in. I went, oh, wow. And my first thought was, oh, shit, I'm going to go to jail. Because I think it was like a 50 zone or something.
Yeah.
And but then that went straight out of my head. And then I was that excited that I got booked.
Yeah, right.
Like I was so excited because I'd put the thought out 2 hours before.
Yeah.
So I put the thought out 2 hours before and then I got booked. And then that's when all these pieces come together.
Right.
The whole thing just come together in my mind. I went, oh, wow, that's how it works.
Right.
And
so that was enough. That was your awakening. That was when it proved to you that it really did come together.
Yeah, everything just come together. All the parts just all of a sudden come in my mind.
Right.
And I went, oh, wow, that's how it works. And I was that excited. I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, oh, thanks, mate. I gave him 100,000, I think.
Right.
That's all I had in my wallet. I always, if you're in Bali, you only ever carry, you have a stash in your pocket.
Yeah.
But you only ever carry in your wallet like 100 or something. So it's sort of enough to get them off your back, but not,
Yeah.
So I gave him 100. I said, thanks, mate. I was that happy I got booked and gave it to him. And he said, no worries, on your way. And then,
It's funny how the world works, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I went over to Keramis and checked the surf out and, I had a great day.
But that was the day you put the emblem together and you realised how the whole manifestation
and now,
works.
So before that, we go, not before that. And so before I tell you what the parts are. So after that, right, remember before I went to South Africa, I did that big manifestation that I was going to have the best trip, we're going to get the best thing, everything was going to be the best.
Yeah.
And And so I forgot about the bit from South Africa. We went to Mauritius for a week. That was fantastic. That was next level as well. But the reason I'm telling you that is, so when we're in Mauritius, right, we met this young couple, and Kerry and Michelle, they were mainly talking to him because, he was quite an attractive young bloke with a muscly
Right.
and
Okay.
yeah. I don't want to mention their
A
names.
bit easy
I don't
on
want to
the
mention
eye.
their names in case they don't want their names on here, but because Kerry knows them. We're good friends. They're young couple. Really, really nice. They're really nice people. Anyway, so they were perfect on him. Really, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if we did it, if it was us men, but the girlfriend too, they're like the Ken and Barbie.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Put that in your mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, a really nice young couple. And so we ended up getting really friendly with them. And then, and Kerry's, what she's like. She's friendly with everybody.
Yeah.
And so they asked us to their wedding in Italy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When was this? After the trip?
That was after the trip.
Right.
And that was into 20, was that 2019? I think we went to Italy. Or 2018.
Yeah. It
Might
was
have been
way
2018.
before the...
Yeah, might have been 2018.
Yeah.
So they asked us to the wedding ring, and I hadn't been to Italy, and I went, yeah, why not? And another great trip, manifestations galore there. But when and then my main mission was, and why I really wanted to go, was because I wanted to go to Rome and check out all the ancient knowledge.
Right.
And which I'm going to be showing you in a minute. So I wanted to check out all the ancient knowledge and see for myself what history was. Because, I believe that all our history is fabricated to hurt us into a certain thought form.
Right.
And, people probably might think I'm nuts, but that's why I say it. So what happened was in Italy. So what I'm saying, all of this happened from when I got booked. Before I got booked this all started from that thought: am I going to get? I haven't been booked.
Right.
So all of that come from here. So this whole emblem come from that one thing. This is where it all starts. So I went from there. 2 hours later, I'm getting booked. All the whole thing come into my mind, all the parts. And then we head to South Africa. And then do the manifestation, and then I head over to Mauritius. We meet the young couple,
right?
And then we go from there. We get invited to their wedding down on the Amalfi Coast,
right?
And so now we're in Italy.
Yeah,
like all that's come from this one thought, one seed.
Yeah. So this is all part of the circle.
This is all part of the circle. And then it's Mount Vesuvius. Mount Vesuvius. Pompeii, you know how that blew up. So that's in the year 70, apparently. So we're told, the year 70, the volcano happened, and then it all went down, and then they dug it all out. And so that's like a perfect time capsule from 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, let me get this up here. So, and I'm loving life because checking out all the ancient knowledge. And see the emblem? That's 2,000 years ago. And see the middle bit there?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Look, that's nearly my emblem. Oops. That's nearly this one in the middle there?
It's virtually the Freedom Network.
That's the Freedom, almost to exactly. See the outside rim? That's the flower?
Yeah.
And see that right in the middle? There's the photon. Yeah. And then see the pyramids?
Yeah, yeah. So what's that taken off? Is that off a temple in Pompeii?
Well, I just went around the corner in Pompeii. Well, they had like these they had things hanging, like bits of plaques and things. And so what I did, I just walked around one of the corners. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Right.
Because you know what happens? It's like, how do you prove anything? Like, how do you prove? Say that I make the emblem up in my mind. I say, yeah, that's how all the bits work in my mind. But how do you like confirm it? Like you just sort of say, oh well, that's just sort of like there's nothing you can do to like there's no science experiment or anything you can do to prove that.
Right.
You know.
So you're saying that's your confirmation.
Yes. So that's the confirmation.
Right.
Like that's 2,000 years ago. These are almost exactly the same.
So this was one of the plaques that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's one of the plaques.
Yeah, because some of the people aren't watching on YouTube, so they don't know what we're talking about.
Oh right. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Craig. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
You're the brains of the operation.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah. And so, but what I'm saying is that, like, this is very real. What I'm saying is that, and this has been known for 2,000 years,
right.
at the minimum. But then I'm going to show you this. The center part there of that emblem, of my emblem, is the photon. And so we're going to go through. So in 1996, I think it was, they took a photo of light. So the light, because we're a light body, everything's made of light. So everything is light, which is a photon. So a photon is light. And so they actually come up with an experiment. What they did, they got these different mirrors. They got all these mirrors and things, and a like a glass pyramid or something, and they reflected all the light, and then they took the picture, and this is actual picture of light, which is the photon.
So it's it says up there that it's a single light particle.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's what.
But this wasn't taken until 1996. Nobody knew what a photon looked like before 1996.
Yet it pops up in history 2,000 years ago.
2,000 years and more. But then, if you go to, here we go. So this is over 5,000 years ago.
Oh wow!
And so this is on the pyramids. And see up there, we've got the arrows.
Yeah.
So
they're photons.
They're photons. Yeah.
So how did they know what it looked like?
How did they know 5,000 years ago? How did they know? And what about our ambulance?
Yeah. Well, you see that pop up all the time.
The ambulance has
don't
it.
you? Yeah.
The ambulance has got the photon.
Yeah.
The photon is everywhere.
Yeah.
It is everywhere.
Well, it was in all those World War II medals as well.
It's in
wasn't
all
it?
the medals. Yep.
That was what the Nazi Medal of Honor was.
Yeah.
And
because
same
it's
with
control.
other war medals too. The
Yep.
Iron Cross and the Victoria Cross.
Yep.
It's all pretty much photon.
Because it's the mark. You know how we said at the start, it's a trigger.
Right.
So you don't necessarily need to know that what the actual trigger is, because it's like subliminal messages.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's always right in front. So if you see an ambulance, they've got 2 on the back of every ambulance.
Yeah.
And so it's in your face all the time.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's triggering you all the time, even subliminally. It's triggering you all the time.
So what's it triggering you for?
I think so they can, the FEB can, I don't know how they do it. They do it through some sort of mind control. I don't know. I don't know that part, but so then this is in Rome. When we went down to one of the ancient ruins there, this is down underground. You can see the flower of life.
Yeah.
As
right.
down on the.
So they're floor tiles.
Floor tiles, yeah. So that would have been all like that at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you type in, so the other part of our emblem is the flower of life. Like the back of it is a flower of life, and the middle section, the pyramids, which is used by the Jews. So they you have to understand that all religion doesn't matter. Do you know how many I typed into Google? Because I'm not religious. The reason that I don't like religion originally was because the reason I'm adopted is because in the late 1960s, or it might have been all 60s, I'm not 100% sure of that if you weren't married, what they used to do with the ladies, they'd put them into like a convent, so because the parents didn't want to be seen with children that had.
So they'd hide them away.
So they'd hide them, and then they'd have their baby, and then they'd be forced to give them up, and then so then they'd come back to society as just normal, and no one would know the difference.
Right.
Because it was against the religious belief then to have a baby out of wedlock.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why I'm adopted.
Yeah.
And that's why
So it was
I
like
don't like.
it was like you're an embarrassment.
Yeah. I'm an embarrassment. Nothing's really changed, has it? Yeah, I get that a lot. And so that's why I don't like religion. It's because religion is just a tool that has been used by the FEB over all these thousands of years to control the people.
Right.
And so I typed into Google, I thought, I wonder how many religions there are. Have a guess. Do you know how many there are?
No.
Or have a guess. Go on.
I'll say a couple of hundred, I suppose.
A couple of hundred? Oh, mate, come on. Have a decent guess.
Oh, no. Well, you tell me.
Have another guess.
No, just educate me.
Give me another guess. Come on.
Oh, what? 300, 400?
You're still in the hundreds. You've got to get in the thousands, mate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Four and a half thousand.
Oh, wow. I was a long way off.
Oh, yeah. I went, how all these religions? But I suppose they must use cults and things too, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they come up with that number, but there's a lot. And you've got to think, each one of those 4,500 religious, those people that are in those, they all think their religion is the one.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
if you go see the Buddhist, he thinks his religion's the one.
Yeah.
If you see the Jews think theirs is the one.
Yeah.
If you see the Christians, they think theirs is the one.
Yeah.
You know, that everyone thinks because they're brainwashed by the
Whatever part of the world they were brought up
yeah,
in.
whatever part, yeah.
It's pretty much what the basis of it is.
Yeah, it's a program that has been installed in you from when you were probably from that 0 to 7, mate.
Right.
And you
It even goes down to the type of school you went to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. And it's usually passed from the parents.
Yeah.
The parents or, you know, probably grandparents, parents. Religions normally carry all the way through from wherever. But sometimes the kids can break free of it if they see that it's controlled. Because I remember I had friends, when I had friends.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? But when I was a kid. And they used to have Sunday school. They don't have that sort of thing anymore, I don't think.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they do. But the kids used to hate it. They couldn't stand going to Sunday school. And one of my mates, you know how they send the bag around, you've got to put money in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so he used to take money out. That's how he used to pay for his school lunches,
Right. Oh, okay.
Anyway, he was tithing to himself. But that's another topic. But yeah, so that's the middle section here is the inverted pyramid. So that Jewish symbol, the Star of David, is actually a 3D symbol. It's actually 3D. So it's imagine a pyramid like on here, if you're listening there. It's a pyramid facing on its point. Imagine a pyramid on its point, and then with its base facing towards the sky.
Right, yeah.
And then the other pyramid's up the other way. So they're sort of to come together around the body. And so what it does, that creates, there's energy that comes up from the earth, and there's energy that comes down from above.
Right.
And so that creates like a vortex. So the energy coming up spinning one way, and then the energy coming down spins the other way. And then so when it comes into our middle section, that's when our energies get connected.
So that's the focus point in the middle.
That's the focus point, yeah.
So is that in our solar plexus?
Yeah, in our solar plexus area. And then if you go and have a look, we've got like this ganglion mass that comes down from our brain all the way through, and it sort of congregates there, because what happens is, like you get a feeling, like if something happens, you get anxiety or something, and it's always in the middle there, so in the heart center.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why, because the energy field is around us, comes in from there, comes into there, and then that triggers, activates all your body to get the feeling that you need for that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so see that other picture there, that's the Da Vinci Man that he drew. I think that was like in the 1400s.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's got the two inverted pyramids there.
And then you see that, and then see around it's got the flower of life.
Yeah.
Or part of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's those three parts.
So everybody has their own flower of life, is what you're saying.
Well, how the flower works, right? The flower is the actual program for the universe. The flower contains the whole universe within it. And then, so the reason that there is, let me get the flower back up so we can see it. So you can see the flower. So see how it's got two circles? The flower?
Yeah.
The flower part's got, so we have the circle within a circle.
Right.
And so see how there's 19 circles. So each one of those circles has another flower in it.
Right.
So there's a flower, every single circle has another flower. So imagine that so that means there's no start and no end.
To the flower of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every single flower has another flower.
Right.
Every single circle
Right.
is a flower.
Yeah.
So then you break that down, then there's another flower. Then you break that down, there's another
yeah.
flower. You break that down, there's another flower. Break that down, there's another flower. Break that down, there's another flower.
Yeah.
And so that's how the manifesting works, right? So I can run you through that whole sequence as we go through the flower. But what happens is the photon in the middle. So that's thought. So every time you have a thought. So I need to go back to you were saying about connected. So we're all in the flower, right? You're in the flower. I'm in the flower. Every single thing in the whole universe is in the flower. So we're all connected to the one flower, but then the flower's limitless. Like there's no infinite.
Yeah.
Sorry, infinite. The flower's infinite. But it's all part of the one.
Right.
It's all part of the one.
Yeah.
And that's why I can think of something, like we do it all the time. I think of something and then you'll say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of the connection with the flower.
Because we're all connected. But the closer you are to the other circle, because we're like you're on my circle.
Yeah.
Because we're good mates. And the same as if you're, like the phone call thing. So if you think about someone before you call them, and they'll say, "Oh, I was just thinking about calling you."
Right. Yeah, because you put that out there on the flower of life. Mm. So it doesn't matter distance between you.
No, there is no distance. It's instant.
Yeah.
Thought's instant. There's no time. Mm. There's no time on thought.
So you say that all the time, don't you? And everybody just refers to it as a coincidence. Oh, wow.
Well, that's what was invented. I think the CIA invented that word.
Coincidence.
Yeah. It was invented by them. And they actually they had a program called MK Ultra. I'm not sure it was in the 60s or 70s, where it might have been the Second World War, was it? Oh, I can't think now. Well, I look at so many things. But what they used to do is they get people to go into their mind, and you can travel to through the ether and go and see what someone else is doing, like through your mind, because you can go into someone else's mind, like if you know how to do it. But and they actually practiced it in the MK Ultra, like that CIA. If you look it up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So all the evidence is written.
Yeah, it's all
reports there.
Like it's all 100% there.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying about the FEB controlling us, because they're using some sort of mind control tool to control the world through the flower.
Right. Oh, because they're aware of how the flower works.
Yeah, they know the flower.
Yeah.
And they know that's why they're
and they want to shut down the connections between people.
Mm. And that's, if you remember in 2020, right, when the tyranny started, do you remember how far apart that we had to be?
Yeah, right. You had to be 1.5 meters apart.
And do you know how far our energy field?
1.5 meters.
Oh, just by coincidence.
Yeah.
Our body energy field is roughly about 1.5 meters.
Yeah, because that was a huge trigger at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so then if you stay apart, so what happens is, when you're apart, you're just one.
Yeah.
So we're still all connected to the flower. But then when you come together, that's why if you have when they do a crowd, they bring, not a crowd, like an event. That's why you're all seated right close to each other.
Yeah, right.
Because then everyone's energy is connected and creates one massive battery.
Yeah.
And so then that massive battery and all that force goes down with the players. And that's why the players...
Oh, the home ground advantage.
The home ground advantage.
Yeah, right. Because that energy is just
Yeah. And you think, and especially if you've got a key player, right? And so you think that whole crowd is focusing on that player. So that whole crowd is giving them, that one person, nearly all that energy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because where you're
Because
focused,
everybody's flow of life is all connected.
everyone's connected. Everything's
Yeah,
connected. Everything's
yeah.
connected.
That's why you always say, oh, it's like you go to the footy or whatever, and you're watching it on telly, but then you go to the footy and you go, oh, nothing like being at the game.
Yeah.
Because everybody feels that energy. And I suppose that's what happens at church as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
they get together and they're all of the same mind and same thinking, and it just focuses more energy towards whoever.
Any community event.
Yeah.
That's why it feels so good. It feels so good. And then when you go to meet someone, that's why you always shake hands, because then we join energy.
Yeah.
Or if,
sometimes even just by standing close to somebody, you can feel the vibe or the energy, can't you?
Yeah, and that's right too, because, like if someone gets in your personal space.
Yeah.
And
it's not matching. You feel awkward, don't you?
Yeah, so get out of my space,
Yeah. I was vibing on that this morning when we were getting coffees. And there was that one loudmouth guy. And I just couldn't get it out of my head. And every time he spoke, it just rubbed me.
Yeah.
And he was one of those guys that just had to be in your space. And no matter where I went in the coffee shop, the guy was there and loudmouth. And it was just, wow. I had to walk away. I had to get out of there.
Yeah. And that's what happens, see? That creates a battery. And so that's why the police, when there's a crowd of people, like a mob, they call it, the mob. They say the mob. And that's why they do the tear gas, to disperse the crowd.
To disperse the crowd, to break down the energy.
Because then there's no energy. And then we're all separated.
They're all just one person at a time to take on.
So then when we're all together as a mob, that's a huge energy. And then that's a rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
But when we're all apart, like, they did have they did do some concert things, and they put the barriers around each person had to be 1.5 meters. It was it was dead.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
It just took away all the flow, didn't it?
There was no energy flow.
Yeah. And I suppose it's the same in the animal world, isn't it? Like we were saying this morning with the whales, how they're all together, and wolves hunt in packs, dolphins are always in pods.
Yeah.
So
the Great Migration.
And the Great Migration, it's just a natural thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because everything is a flower. This is the program. So what? I need to get back to how it works, but this is why we're able to change the program, because it's just a matter. We change a bit of the flower,
right,
and then that changes the rest of the flower, because the flower within a flower.
Yeah.
So you change that one little bit, and then the rest of it has to be different frequency. Has to be.
Right.
And so that's why every time you change something, everything else changes. But then the whole thing changes. Right. And so then it's a total different reality than what would have happened before.
Yeah. So that's why you have so-called power couples, like two people that are just working together, whether they're husband and wives or business partners or whatever, and they're on the same frequency and got the same focus. They're virtually unstoppable, aren't they?
Yeah.
But if you have a couple that's together and they've got different ideas, then they're opposing each other and they're not really going to move forward in either particular.
Yeah, so one flower's going one direction, one flower's going the other direction.
Yeah, so nothing happens.
Yeah.
There's no energy flow.
Yeah, and it creates like a plus and a minus.
It's like a cancelling out effect.
Yeah, cancelling out effect.
Instead of a powerful move forward effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then this is what they say about with energy, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. So 1 + 1 could equal 10.
Right.
Depending on the energy level of each person.
Right.
And because when you come together, that's what Napoleon Hill said about having a mastermind.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. And if you have a look at the flower of life, that right in the center is called the egg of life. And so the egg of life is 1 circle in the middle, then 6 circles on the outside, which is 7. And so then that's why we get 7. So we've got 7 days in a week.
Oh, okay.
The universe was created in 7 days. In 6 days, and the 7th day rested.
Right.
So that's
what it's based on.
The God thing says.
Yeah. So it's all based on that.
Everything comes from the flower. Everything.
Yeah. Right.
And then it says you're the product of people say 5 people, but they're wrong. It's actually 6.
Right.
So you're a product of the six closest people
that you associate with.
Yeah.
Right.
So the 6 closest people that you hang with all the time, because you're the center circle, right? And then we have the 6 on the outside.
Right.
And so everyone that must become one.
Within that flower, yeah.
Within that, no, yeah, but that's the egg. So this is the egg of life.
Okay. Yeah.
Within the center of the flower.
Right.
And so, all the energy must become one as people are around you.
Yeah. So you can be in a positive environment with positive people, or you can be in a negative environment to be with negative people.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what you're trying to say, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but it all comes from the flower.
Yeah.
What's
within your flower.
Yeah.
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 And the sum of that flower is what you become.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
Like it has to. Like the apple seed has to turn into the apple tree.
Yeah.
It can't not.
Yeah. But that's not in saying that you were born in a particular flower. You can move away from that flower by changing your environment.
Yeah, because being born is not the thing. It's the environment that is from being after birth is the environment for your first 7 years.
Yeah.
But then you get that's your main program. Like, when you get your phone from the shop.
Yeah, that's your default.
That's your main default. But then you can put all the apps on that overrides all the default.
Yeah, and personalised your phone.
Yeah, and personalised it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to know how you work, how the whole universe thing works, you just look at your phone.
Oh, exactly.
Because the phone is almost to us to a T.
Right.
Except it's not living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
that what you have on your phone, you've personally selected, is what you're saying.
well, it's exactly how we work.
Yeah. Right.
So it connects to the network. It has a battery.
Yeah.
You have to charge it.
Yeah.
It has the camera with like your eyes. It has a processor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like the phone is us.
Yeah.
Like the phone is like a human.
Yeah. Right.
If you look at all the parts of the phone, they're all the same parts we have.
Yeah. So it's based on a human experience.
Yeah. It's based off us.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this is why it's important that you get your energy up. Keep your energy high. So then your connection to the Wi-Fi is always strong.
Right.
To the universal mind. So that stays strong. And then, but then, there's all the other stuff too, the environment. We've got all those things. So getting back to the emblem. And so now we know the photon, right? The photon's light, which is us as light body, which is thought. And then we've got the Star of David, which is the Merkaba, which is 2 inverted pyramids. So you can look all these things up for yourself. I'd like you to look them all up for yourself.
Right.
It's easy. You just go to Google and type them in. Like everything's there. My emblem won't be there, but unless you go to the freedomnetwork.io, you'll see it.
And you'll see it put together. Because you built it up, didn't you? From all
I just put all the bits together.
Yeah.
And then, so then the outside is the flower of life. So they're the 3 parts. All right. So what happens, right, is you have a thought. So then the thought then travels out along the pyramids, the edges of the pyramids, out to the outside edge of the flower. And so then that creates reality, right? A future reality that may or may not happen. We don't know for sure. So it creates the reality. So that's what creates the flower. So go back to when I got booked. Go back to when I had a thought about, so I had the thought, right?
Yeah.
So I had the thought goes out along through those triangles to the outside edge of the pyramid. So now the whole reality is created.
Right.
So that reality
Of you getting booked.
of me getting booked has to happen.
Right.
It has to happen. No, that's not correct. Doesn't have to happen. You can still change that reality, but that reality has been created. Right. So you always got all these realities that you create from all these thoughts. So you've got 17 seconds, they say, to create the reality. But if you concentrate on it for a minute, and then it becomes set.
Okay. Yeah.
So every time you think of something for more than a minute, around 60 seconds, then that reality is set. So then it doesn't have
set as in guaranteed to happen.
No, nothing's ever guaranteed.
Yeah.
It just means that it's been put out into the ether. Right. As a possibility that to happen.
Yeah.
Now, so going back to when I got booked. So I had the thought, right? So my flower's created. My whole my reality has been created now in my mind. So for me to get booked though, I had to have that quick. I didn't have any, I allowed the universe to just take me. What I thought was where I wanted to go wasn't, I just pulled up River. I was just driving along and then I had a thought in my mind to go, oh, pull up here.
Yeah.
So I'd pull up here and have a look around. And they go, oh, now it's time to go. I have another thought. Now it's time to go. So the universe I'm being controlled by my flower.
Right.
Through thought.
Yeah. So you're downloading.
I'm downloading the journey to get booked.
Right. Okay. So you've set the path. Now it's taking you there.
Yes. Now it's taking me on the path. And because I didn't have it, there was nobody else. It was just me.
So nothing else affecting your flower of life.
There was not one other thing that was connected. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not a person, not another thought. There was nothing connected to it. Just that whole universe of me getting booked had to happen because I didn't have anywhere I had to go. I didn't have to go, oh, now in 5 minutes I've got to go here, 5 minutes I have to go there.
So that's a manifestation.
Yeah. So then I had the whole day just to do, like I had nowhere to go, nothing to do.
Except get booked.
And so then I'd have a thought, oh, stop here. Had a thought, another thought, stop there. Had another thought, stop here. Then I get to the lights, traffic lights. Had a thought to
fang it.
Let's fang it and get this thing and ring its head off.
Yeah.
And then bang, I'm booked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it got you there.
Oh, got me there. And then it wasn't finished because it says, right now you know, Troy, what the emblem is, but now we have to prove it to you that this is real and it exists.
So the manifestation wasn't particularly getting booked. It was about putting the emblem.
It was about
together.
me to get this emblem.
Yeah, right. So when did you set that?
Well, who knows? This is the thing. We don't know. Like this could be part of my journey that I'm meant to be on.
Right.
Well, I don't know. We don't. Like it's so big, isn't it, to think about it? Like it's so big to think about all the things that happen in your life. I think, what did I think that to get booked?
Yeah.
Like what was I doing in Bali there? Why was I even there in that traffic at that time?
Yeah.
To think about that to get booked. So all those things for that to happen. It was like, we talked about me being at Johnny's house, where Wayno lived.
Yeah. How does it happen?
How does it happen?
Yeah.
We don't know. Like I don't know. All I know is that this is how it works.
Yeah.
And so when you want to manifest, right, to create a reality, you have to, that's when they say you have to be open to it, but you have to have no resistance to that. So as soon as you have a resistive thought, it creates something else within the flower.
Yeah.
So then there's another part of the flower.
Yeah. So that slows down the manifestation.
Yeah. So if we go back to one of the other podcasts when I talked about me being in Wayno's house, Johnny's house, but then that took me another 40 years to work that out. Another 20 years, sorry. What was I, 70? Another 23 years to work that out.
Yeah.
So that whole manifestation was, from when I was a kid all the way through to when I was 40. So it's like, 35 years or something.
But it's the journey that you're on to get there.
Yeah, but it still happened. So a lot of things that you manifest in your mind may never happen because you might not live long enough to see it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's all created. Like everything's already there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Everything's right in front of us. It's already created. It's already there. But we put up the resistance and the barriers and the beliefs and all the things for it not to happen.
Yeah.
And then this is why it's incredibly important that when you create a goal for yourself, you don't tell a single soul. You don't tell anybody. The only person that you tell is yourself.
Right.
Not even no one, because you're bringing them onto your flower.
If you do tell them.
Yeah,
because they put whether it's positive or negative, and it sets on a different direction.
Yeah, and they don't have to say anything. They've only got to think it.
Right. Oh, okay.
Because it's thought.
Yeah.
Because everything's thought.
Oh, okay.
They've only got to think it.
You tell them your goal, and they just even think, oh, that's
yeah, right, whatever.
As if that's going to happen. So that is enough to throw off, to affect your flower of life.
That's enough to affect the flower.
Wow.
Unless you are super you have a super strong mind and dedicated to that journey, and no matter what.
Right.
But 80% of people that's why it fizzles out. That's
Right.
that's why most people that start 75 hard. Because what's the first thing that someone says to you as soon as you say that I'm doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and then in your mind you're going, no, I'll do it. And then one day when you're having a down day,
Yeah.
and
that comes back to haunt you.
it comes back and says, oh, you don't really want to do that, Troy. Why do you want to do that?
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. Remember when I got to 75 days and I had that the whole way through to the end?
Yeah.
Come on, Troy, you don't want to do that. What do you want to do that? You know you don't.
Yeah.
You don't really need to do it. What do you want to do it for? Come on, you
so
don't.
it puts that
Why don't
element
you
of
just stop?
doubt in the recipe.
Yeah.
And,
So all those things, so they've created a reality for it not to happen.
yeah.
So all the realities are created.
Yeah.
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 So we don't want that. So if you want to manifest something for yourself, you don't tell anybody. Like, say for instance, when I did the South Africa thing, I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, you didn't tell me about manifesting.
I didn't tell no one. I didn't tell anybody anything
Yeah, just let it happen.
because I had to happen, and then I had no resistance to it, and because nobody else knew.
That's why it was so perfect.
And plus, if you just expect it, like if you say you're going for a room upgrade, right? And before you go in there, you envision that the person at the counter is going to give you the room upgrade. If you got to be reciprocal to them and nice. And stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got to sort of work on it.
Yeah.
But you just have it in your mind that you've already got it.
Yeah.
Like it's already there. It's like the car spot. You've already got it. Like you just have it. There's no other belief in your mind that that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's when all these manifestations happen.
Yeah.
But then people say, oh, what about money? And they say, well, why aren't you a millionaire or whatever? Why haven't you got all the money? Because the money's controlled by the FEB and they know how the system works and they don't know how the whole thing works. So when you're trying to manifest money, you're up against them. You're playing their game. So it's like a game of Monopoly, right? And they're another player next to you, but they're also the banker.
Right.
So
they own the house.
So they own the bank.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where, and they also can't go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're when they're going around the board and we have to go on the one that says go to jail, do not go past go, whatever. Yeah. We go straight to jail.
Yeah.
They don't have that. That's blanked out for them.
Right.
They don't have that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they're the banker.
Yeah.
So that's what
they control all the money anyway.
They control the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like so you're with them. So then for the money side of it, yes, you have to manifest it, but then you have to know the rules of the game.
Yeah.
So you have to know the rules.
Right.
That's where the money side. But so that's a different manifestation. And then there's the manifestation like when I went on holidays. That's another manifestation because that's outside of their game. Like they've got nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's just me. That's just my reality in my own mind. That's what I created.
Right.
So there was nothing for that to not to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't be affected by anybody else other than.
Yeah.
Well, it could have if you had told somebody that this is what you were doing.
If I had told someone what I was doing,
and they would have gone, "Oh, come on, Troy, you can't do that." It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So that's the element of doubt coming in, isn't it?
Yeah. And
it's like when people try and manifest a lotto win, I suppose, isn't it too?
Well, the lotto thing is because you got to think there's another 50, or in Australia, how many people? Probably 5 million or something.
Yeah.
So there's 5 million people all
affecting your manifestation.
Well, everyone's going for it.
Yeah.
Everyone's manifesting and dreaming about how they're going to spend their lotto money.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then it becomes, bit of a.
Because everybody's manifesting the same thing.
Everyone's wanting to manifest the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's like focusing on, like if you say you've got to win the lotto, that means like you're in that version of lack. Does that come into it as well?
Well, yeah. That's resistance. Yeah.
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 So
but then, see, lottos they say it is possible to do it, but I think that you would need, because there is ways of hacking the field other than what I teach, but there are other ways. And then I actually got into the Kabbalah a little bit, the magic side of it.
Right.
But that's like getting into the back end of your computer.
Oh, okay. So it's a different level of the game again.
Oh, mate. And if you get in there and you make a little error, I don't know what.
So it's got repercussions.
Well, yeah, everything's got a repercussion. Everything.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's a circle.
Yeah.
So everything has to come back.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I got a bit scared. And I looked at it and I said, nah, I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm only doing what our free will allow for our body.
Right.
Or allow for our manifestation. So I can't say I'm on the front end of the program.
Right. Yeah, because it's
So it's like your phone. It'd be like going into your actual hard drive of your phone and re-changing something, how your phone works.
Yeah, at the risk of losing everything on the phone.
Yeah, and then you go to use an app and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because you've changed that little thing at the back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but there is a thing. You can do it.
Yeah.
And, the cults and there are a lot of things that do it. Yeah, so that's dangerous. I don't recommend that at all for anybody. Yeah. And because you need to realize that this is very real. It's very, very, very real, this programming thing. Every single thing you do, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you eat, the way you do everything matters. Everything. Everything matters. Who you hang out with, all this stuff.
It's all a contributing factor.
Because it's all part of the flower.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why everything matters.
Yeah.
And so every time you have a bad thought, it goes, oh, beauty. And then you have another one.
Yeah.
And then you have another one. And then it gets fatter and fatter. That's how, we go back to the Marx thing for the tyranny. And that's how they get the fear. So the fear is a huge driver of anything. And so if they get the fear going, people are easily controlled with fear. Yeah. Easily.
Well, that was proven, wasn't it? And still to this day, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to believe people still walking with masks on. Out in the open air by himself.
Yeah.
You're thinking, man, right, really? But anyway, they can't. See, the program was that strong. It was that intense. The programming by the FEB was that intense that people were so frightened.
Well, because people didn't know any other way.
Yeah. Well, I remember one, he rang me and goes, oh, Troy, I'm just really worried. I'm worried you're going to die.
Yeah. Oh, because
I chose not to take part in the experiment.
Yeah.
And I said, mate, don't worry about me. I said, I'm a manly bull, mate.
Yeah.
Nothing knocks me down.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, and besides, I don't believe all this is real. And so, I thank you for your love and affection, but mate, I'm more than fine.
Yeah.
I said, but you just do, you look after what you want to do. And if you want to go down that road, that's, because everyone's got their own free will to choose.
Yeah, whatever.
And that's how we should be. Everyone should be able to choose their own path and destiny.
Yeah.
And I chose my path and destiny.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to be right or wrong at the time. I just did all the research and just went,
no, that's not for me.
it didn't add up.
Yeah.
I looked at it because I've been studying it for so long.
Yeah, right.
And I knew how the FFB worked.
Yeah.
And I knew all the parts leading up to it. And I went, oh, no, this is a red flag.
Yeah.
And it's proved out to be correct now. But,
but at the time you were labelled a conspiracy theorist and ostracised from the community. Grandma killer. Yeah, that was criminal.
That was the worst thing for me, was being called that, because, they were like the first people in my life that I got love from. I hadn't experienced any love before I was 10. Yeah. And then I went and moved, about 11, then I moved in with them for about a year, because Dad got divorced and that. So they were the first people that actually gave me love and affection in 10 years. And so then to be called a grandma killer, that was just like putting a dagger in. That really hurt me.
Yeah.
And,
and that was all just made up anyway.
But the FEB, mate, this is what they do. They do things to create hysteria.
Yeah, with maximum effect.
Maximum effect, yeah. Because you remember at the start, when they, to stop everyone from sharing things online, what they did, remember that pregnant lady? Oh. She shared something on Facebook. Yeah. It was hardly nothing. It was,
I think that it was about incitement or something.
They created this thing, incitement, and then the police kicked the door down and arrested her.
Yeah, and they showed it on Prime.
They showed it everywhere, all those things. If you do this, you're going to be arrested. So straight away in your mind, you're going, wow. If they're going to arrest a pregnant lady in her own house with children and a thing there, what? No way am I. I'm gone. I'm in jail if I do this. So that just boom stopped.
Yeah.
No more sharing.
Yeah.
Maximum effect.
Maximum effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went a little bit off topic there. So now, if you want to manifest, right? So you need to think about it. You have a thought. So then that goes out. That's what creates. But if you can concentrate, say if you get a magnifying glass, right? Say you got a light, the sun's shining on a bit of paper. It's doing nothing. But then you get a magnifying glass to the sun and you can burn the paper.
You can focus all the energy.
And that's light. That's a photon.
Yeah.
So that will focus all that energy onto the paper, the one spot, and burn the paper.
Yeah.
Focused energy.
Yeah.
Focused energy. So I want you to put that into your mind. Focused energy. So you have the thought, focused energy.
Yeah.
So you focus energy onto that thing for 17 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, because you've got to hold the magnifying. You can't it's not just instantaneous, is it? It's got to build up.
It takes about a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you do it for about a minute, like really focused energy on it.
On that one particular
On that
thought.
if you want to manifest it.
Yeah.
One thought. And then after that, you have to let it go, and because then it's done. So then you forget about it.
Yeah.
Totally forget that you even did it.
So don't throw any more into it.
Nothing.
And especially not
Zero.
any sort of resistance.
No resistance. And if you hang on to it and keep thinking about it, well, then it doesn't let the universe take it into the flower to create the flower.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how you do it. That's how you're manifesting. But you have to remember, that's how you would do, say, the one for the trip I did.
Right.
But if you're doing things for yourself, you have to have, there's a whole nother thing around there for your belief systems. That's why we have the 21-day program, is because then we work out what belief systems that you have. And then if you need to put more apps, you might need to get rid of some beliefs, put some more on, clear the garden, but you need to do all those things.
Right, yeah.
For yourself
It's a bit more of a process.
to manifest your actual life.
Right.
But to manifest in that board upgrades and not board upgrades.
Room
upgrades and, holidays.
Yeah.
All those things, or you want to meet with somebody and think about them.
Yeah.
All those things. That's how you do that.
Right.
That's the easiest manifest to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you obviously need all the other tools to do the other manifesting.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a long one, Craig.
It was, yeah. We had a fair bit. We had a couple of deviations there, but we got there
we didn't
in the
do too
end.
bad. Yeah. So, so the idea is, what I'm trying to do is to give you all the tools that you need to become self-empowered and limitless. That's what I want you to do. And so then, but you need you got to have the action plan. You got to do the focused energy. It's not, you can't just do it and then sit on the couch and then
Wait for it to come.
It doesn't work like that. No,
Yeah.
you got to move in the direction.
Yeah.
You got to do that. You got to do that. The action.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much for listening to us ramble, and I really hope that this is helping you. This is part 4 of the series. You are going to become manifesting experts and learn how the universe actually works. And then, so once you start practicing it, you will become unstoppable, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, you still need the other things for your belief systems and all that, but this is going to fast track your experience so much quicker. And so we have podcasts 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. And the Saturdays one's going to be like a special guest, or I hope mainly special guests. And then Craig and I are doing, Tuesday and Thursday, solving the problems of the world.
As we do.
And we're, talking about, because our mission is to help you to become self-empowered and limitless. And we want to do that. Right? I want to do it as zero cost as possible. But obviously, if you want to fast track it, if you want to fast track your manifestations and all those things, you would, you learn how to use your mind to its maximum power. You would join up to the Freedom Network, but you absolutely do not have to do that if you just want to take your own time and journey and just manifest. If your life's pretty good and all you want to do is learn how to manifest room upgrades and all those types of things and great holidays, that's what you would do. Yeah, so thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
See ya.